In the tradition of Malcolm X, peace be unto you. Unfortunately, this is not the first time that we have seen the government employ or execute mass deportation policy on Mexican Americans, or more generally speaking, Latinos. The United States conducted several mass deportation campaigns in the past, each of them targeting Mexican immigrants and Mexican Americans throughout its history. Let me also include Latinos in general. Now, here are some of the most outstanding instances of deportation policies. First, we have the Mexican Repatriation Act of 1929-1936. During the Great Depression, widespread unemployment led to anti-immigrant sentiment. And of course, many white folks needed jobs. And if you go back to California history, in the Valley, many white folks left the Midwest, moved to the California Valley to pick fruit and pick other types of vegetables, and they displaced Mexican Americans in order to do so. Now, the actions, the policies were federal, state, and local authorities that conducted raids and forced removals of Mexican immigrants and even U.S. citizens of Mexican descent. Now, what was the scale? How many people were deported? Approximately. We're talking 300,000 to 2 million people were deported or pressured to leave, many of whom were U.S. citizens born right here in the United States. They were naturalized citizens, constitutionally sanctioned as citizens. Now, there were widespread consequences. Families were separated, and many lost their property and their livelihoods. The U.S. government later acknowledged injustice, with California formally apologizing in 2005. Now, that was a political apology. That was not a heartfelt apology. And you have to understand that once you've lost your property and your livelihood, apologies don't matter. There's no bread on the table. And America, the government, is good at doing that. Making apologies to Native Americans, making apologies to African Americans, making apologies to Mexican Americans. But what has been taken from them cannot be returned. They cannot be made whole again. Now, there was another policy called Operation Wetback. That was in 1954. Now, the context of that operation was post, meaning after World War II. Concerns over undocumented Mexican labor led to a large-scale enforcement campaign. Now, what happens when the war ends is that the soldiers started to return, and they wanted jobs, and the federal government, state governments, local governments wanted those veterans to have jobs. So somebody had to go. And as usual, it's Mexican Americans, or it may have been African Americans and other non-white groups. Now, Eisenhower was the president at that time, and it was his administration that was led by the Immigration and Naturalization Service that conducted military-style raids, workplace sweeps, and mass deportations. Over 1 million people were deported or fled under pressure. Many were subjected to harsh conditions, including overcrowded detention centers, as is the case today in Los Angeles. And they were also subject to dangerous repatriation methods, that is, picking up people and just flying them to some country in South America and leaving them. Now, people argued, as they are arguing today, that there's racial profiling that is a factor in what is happening. Of course it is. And many U.S. citizens of Mexican descent have been wrongly deported. Of course it's racial profiling. We live in a white supremacist defined society. and white supremacist elite have the power and the wealth. And that's why we see this consistent application of racist policies. Now, here's something that you may be surprised at. It was the Obama administration which was dubbed the deporter in chief. Obama was dubbed the deporter in chief, just as Biden was dubbed Genocide Joe. And so you have the 1996 immigration laws, the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act, that was expanded, that expanded deportation grounds, leading to increased removals. Then you had the Secure Communities Program between 2008 and 2014. Local federal cooperation led to mass deportations with over 2 million removals, again under Obama. Now we're here. Here we are, the Trump era. The Trump era, 2017 to 2021. And of course, here we are again, 2025. Aggressive ICE raids and policies like zero tolerance increased deportations, though numbers were lower than Obama's peak due to reduced undocumented migration. This is part of the history of American politics, American racism. And so one should not be surprised that it arises again and again and impacts negatively many young generations of Latinos. And it's not going to stop, because the fact of the matter is, from the East Coast to the West Coast, we are living in a colonial empire. And I don't know if we make those connections. The United States is an extension of the British Empire, and it paralleled the British methodology for subjecting and eliminating unwanted ethnic communities. That's just a historical fact. I'm not speculating. I'm not making things up. I'm not being rhetorical. I'm telling you, this comes with the turf. This racism runs with the land. And so now here we are, and obviously you see the young people in the streets upset, and they are validly upset, and families are being fragmented. And it is so sad to see this happening to them, because they haven't been taught a methodology by means of which they can gain control of their local politics. Not with professional politicians, not with the kinds of pathological individuals who want to have power and indulge in the corrosive activities of government. But we need people elected from the grassroots, people elected from your street where you live, and people who have a history of advancing the betterment of your quality of life right there on your street. And we haven't gotten to that point. One reason is we keep going from the Republican to the Democratic parties. We need our own political party, and we need a pragmatic political party, the party that is oriented to doing for the people in the community. And from that success, we grow to the county level and to the state level, and then to the federal level. And then you will see a stop to these atrocious racist policies that now Mr. Trump is executing in LA. And let me just add this. This is speculation on my part, but I think I have grounds upon which to speculate strongly. Trump's purpose, his aim, is to suspend certain amendments to the Constitution, to implement martial law, and to suspend elections so that his group can stay in power. And this is when it all falls apart. We are in that zone where America is teetering on the edge, and he is pushing it over so that his group can rebuild it the way they want, and now all hell will break loose. I am Dr. Stephen Nur Ahmed. Peace be unto you.